So today we're going to talk about what online mortgage calculators don't tell you about buying in Savannah. So you've been looking at homes online in Savannah and you've probably done this. You find a house you love, you scroll down, you see the estimated monthly payment and you think, okay, I can do that. But I need you to know something before you trust that number. That payment is probably wrong. Not because the website's trying to trick you, but because online mortgage calculators almost never understand the local costs that matter in Savannah. And in coastal Georgia, those details can change your payment by hundreds of dollars. So in this video, I'm going to walk you through what online mortgage calculators usually miss and why two homes with the same price tag can have totally different payments and what you need to know before you fall in love with a house based on a number that may not be real. And if you want the local breakdown we use with our relocation clients, you can download it for free, new to 912 at newto912.com. So we already made a video about what it really costs to live in Savannah. That one is more about the big picture, housing prices, neighborhood differences, renting versus owning, and how Savannah compares to other cities. So if you've not watched that one yet, go find it after this. But today I want to talk about something more specific, your actual monthly house payment. Because can I afford Savannah and what will this house actually cost me every month are not the same question. And this is where buyers get into trouble. They look at the price of a home, they'll plug it into a mortgage calculator and assume that the answer is close enough. But in Savannah, close enough can be really far off, and I'll explain why. So let's be fair, online calculators are not useless. They usually do a decent job of estimating the basic pieces of a mortgage payment, and they can estimate your loan amount, and they can use an interest rate, and they can estimate your principal and interest. And sometimes they will give you a rough guess for taxes and insurance. So as a starting point, they're really helpful. But the problem is that most buyers do not treat them like a starting point. They treat them like the answer. And that's where things go absolutely sideways, because the calculator may understand the math, but it does not understand Savannah. The first big thing online calculators miss is local property taxes. And this is huge. Property taxes are not the same everywhere in Savannah. A home in the city of Savannah will have a very different tax picture than a home in unincorporated Chatham County, Pooler, Richmond Hill, Tybee, Bryan County, Effingham County. And our online calculators use a generic estimate. And that generic estimate may be fine in some markets, but here it'll be way off. In our new to 912 guide, we will show you how local property taxes can range from under 1% to well over 2%, depending on the property and the location. We'll spell it all out for you in that guide. So on a $400,000 home, that can mean more than a $300 a month difference. We should not just consider that a rounding error. That is as much as a car payment, or maybe daycare money, or a grocery bill. That's the difference between feeling comfortable in your home and feeling like your budget is stretched. So when somebody says, my budget is $400,000, my next question is not just, great, what kind of house do you want? It's where. Because where you buy affects what you pay every single month. The second thing that online mortgage calculators often underestimate is homeowners insurance in Georgia. We are not Miami, we're not the Outer Banks, we're not even the Gulf Coast, but we're still coastal. And insurance can vary based on the location of the home, the age of the home, the roof, the flood zone, the elevation, the construction type, and even the age of the systems. A new home in Pooler may have a very different insurance profile than a historic home downtown or waterfront property on the islands. And if you're moving here from another part of the country, you may not be used to thinking about insurance this way. A lot of relocating buyers assume that insurance is just a standard line item, but here it's one of those numbers that we want to verify early. Not after you're under contract, not after inspections, but early. Because again, two homes at the same price can have very different monthly payments. So what else do online calculators miss? It's flood zones and flood insurance. And this is where Savannah can get confusing and confusing pretty fast. Some homes are in flood zones where a lender may require flood insurance. And some homes are in areas where flood insurance may not be required, but a buyer still may choose to carry it. And some homes that feel close to the water may not have the flood insurance situation you expect at all. This is not something to be afraid of. It's just something to be informed about. Flood zones are just part of buying in coastal Georgia. And you need to understand them before you decide what a house is really going to cost, because a payment estimate that does not account for flood insurance is not a real payment estimate. Okay, the fourth thing that online calculators miss all the time, HOA fees. And these aren't going to necessarily be a part of your actual monthly payment, but they're certainly going to come into your budget. And depending on where you're looking, this can be a small thing or a very big thing. A condo downtown may have a monthly association fee. A gated community may have HOA dues. A neighborhood with a pool, fitness center, golf, marina, they're going to have fees factored in. And these fees aren't necessarily bad, and sometimes they cover amenities that you really, really want. Sometimes they even cover maintenance that would otherwise be your responsibility. But no matter what they cover, they still affect your monthly budget. So when you're comparing homes, you cannot just compare purchase price. You have to compare a total monthly cost. So a $425,000 home with no HOA fee and a $400,000 home with a large monthly fee may not feel the way you think they will once the full payment is calculated. The fifth thing to pay attention to is PMI, which stands for private mortgage insurance. If you're putting less than 20% down on a conventional loan, PMI might be part of your monthly payment. And it does not mean you're doing anything wrong. A lot of buyers put less than 20% down, but it does mean that your monthly payment may be higher than the number you first saw online. And the loan type matters too. So for instance, on a conventional loan, once you pay your loan down to a full 20% of the loan to value ratio, you can eliminate PMI. However, on an FHA loan, PMI is going to be there for the life of the loan. And on a VA loan, there is no PMI. So conventional FHA, VA, USDA, all of these loans work differently. They have different down payment options and they have different rules, and they have different ways that seller contributions can be used. And this is why we like to connect buyers with a local lender early. And it's not because we want you rushed into anything. It's kind of the opposite. We want you to have the real numbers before you start getting emotionally involved with a house that you saw online. Okay, so now here's something that buyers miss often, and they sometimes miss it completely. The question is not just, can I get the lowest price? Sometimes the better question is, can we structure this offer in a way that helps my monthly payment or my cash to close? If we know what's important to you, we can structure your offer in a way that benefits you most. Seller paid contributions can sometimes be used toward closing costs, rate buydowns, or other allowable expenses depending on the loan type. And this, my friend, is where strategy matters, because a strong real estate team and a strong local lender can help you understand what's possible before you even write the offer. This is also why the cheapest house is not always the best deal, and the highest offer is not always the winning offer. Offer structure matters. Terms matter. Monthly payments matter. Cash to close. All of these things matter. All of these pieces need to work together. All right, so let's talk about a real example. Imagine you're looking at two homes. Both are listed at $400,000 and they may look like they should have the same monthly payment, but one is in an area with lower property taxes. The other one has higher taxes. One has a new roof and easier insurance, and maybe the other one is older and may be more expensive to insure. One has no HOA, the other one has a monthly neighborhood fee. One is in a flood zone where insurance may be required, the other one is not. Same price, but very different monthly realities. And this is why I do not want buyers making decisions from a national website estimate. I want them to make decisions from real local numbers. So what should you do before you fall in love with the house? So before you fall in love with the house and the payment online, ask for the real numbers. You need to know, what are the estimated property taxes for that specific address? What's the insurance going to cost? Is there flood insurance? Are there HOA fees? Will you have PMI? What are your estimated closing costs? Are there any seller contribution strategies that could help? This is the difference between shopping casually and shopping wisely. And when you're relocating, this really matters because you are not just learning about a house, you're learning about the full monthly payment. So online mortgage calculators are a good starting point, but they are not the final answer. Especially here in Savannah, The number you see online may not include property taxes, insurance, flood considerations, HOA fees, PMI, seller contribution strategies. All of these things can really change your monthly payment. So before you fall in love with a house based on a calculator, get local numbers. And this is exactly why we created the New to 912 guide. It walks you through the things people need to understand before moving to Savannah: neighborhoods, schools, local costs, and the details that online searches usually miss. You can download it at new912.com, and when you're ready, we'd happily help you figure out your Savannah budget and what it means in real life. Not online, not in theory, but your actual monthly payment.